Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our regular weekday morning podcast on Kabbalah for Heretics. Me, Yakov, Leib, HaKohain. Good to see you all. And let's get back to where we left off in our last podcast in the Zohar. As those of you who have been following us know, we have for the past almost 30 years. Check that out. Almost 30 years. Every single weekday morning, with some very rare exceptions. Over the past 30 years, we have been going through the Zohar, volume by volume, cover to cover, page by page, and sentence by sentence. In doing that, we have completed and gone through volumes 1, 2, and 3, and are now well on our way to finishing volume 4. After that, of course, we will plunge into the last volume of the Zohar, volume 5, God willing. Rebbe Eliezer then discoursed on the verse, and it came to pass on the 8th day, etc. He said, this 8th day has reference to the preceding statement, quote, for he shall consecrate you 7 days, unquote, from Leviticus. Why 7 days? Happy indeed are the priests who are crowned with the crowns of the Holy King and anointed with the holy oil, because thereby is put in motion the supernal oil, which moistens all the 7, and from which the 7 lamps are lit. This oil, comprising them all, as we have learned that there are 6, and this is the consummation of all. Hence, quote, 7 days he shall consecrate you, unquote. Now, I am not harping on the position of the coin. It's come up again. The position of the hereditary Levitical priest has come up again, and it comes up again as his function of literally bringing down the holy oil of God to consecrate the community of Israel standing in front of him. Oh, that's so goddamn egotistical. Well, maybe for you. Maybe for you, and you're entitled to that, but that is what this is about. And there are the hereditary Levitical priests of the temple, still to this day. It is genetically transmitted from father to son only in certain families. Now, of course, the feminists among us are going to be offended by this, but it has nothing to do with the feminine. It is neither passed down by the feminine, this HaKohain gene, because they've discovered a genome, is not passed down by the feminine and cannot be had by the feminine. It is passed down only through the masculine to the masculine. So for 4,000 years, almost, I can trace my genetic lineage directly to Aaron and Moses. That is what it is. It is a direct genetic line between the person who has it and Aaron and Moses. Again, you don't wake up one morning and decide, I'm going to go to school to become a Kohen. You don't wake up one morning and have had a dream and you say, I'm a Kohen because I dreamt I'm one. You are either born genetically a Kohen or not. And if you are, that is only because your father is genetically a Kohen. And his father was genetically a Kohen, and his father's father was genetically a Kohen, all the way back down to Aaron and Moses. Here, the function of the Kohen is being described. Those of you who have been listening long enough to my podcast know that what the Kohen does now, because there's no temple anymore, is he dukens. That is, it is a very special, highly enthralling ritual in which he and all the other Kohen in the congregation, if there are any, stand before the congregation totally covered with their white prayer shawl, looking like ghosts, and blessing the congregation with the Hebrew blessing of Aaron. You've all heard it from priests and ministers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you, etc. It is not to be recited in English, and never by just by a minister or a Catholic priest or any such thing. It is only communicated by the Kohen. And when he is doing that, he is performing act of theurgy, of magic, literally. He has his hands extended in a traditional gesture, which I cannot show you now. And as is being described here, he alone is bringing down the grace of God from its resting place down into the congregation and onto each of the congregants. The blessing of the Kohen awakens the Sephiros in he who is being blessed. Now, I know that's very difficult for people to accept, and my point about that is, if you don't accept it, fine and dandy. Just don't listen anymore. But this is not my opinion. This is not my observation. This is the fact. 4,000 years. Only the Kohen, only he who is the son of the Kohen, who is the son of the Kohen, who is the son of the Kohen, etc., down to Aaron and Moses. So listen to this. Rabbi Eliezer then discoursed on the verse, and it came to pass on the 8th day, etc. There are 7 lower Sephiros, but this is on the 8th day. He said, this 8th day has reference to the statement, quote, for he shall consecrate you 7 days, unquote. For he shall consecrate you 7 days, unquote. The he here will be revealed to be the Kohen. Why 7 days? Happy indeed are the Kohanim, who are crowned with the crowns of the Holy King, and are anointed with the holy oil, because thereby is put in motion the supernal oil, which moistens all the 7 lower Sephiros, and from which the 7 lamps, the Sephiros, are lit. This oil comprising them all, as we have learned. One of the things that people object to very much in this is it relates to the fact that one is spiritually awakened by a special other person, in this case the Kohen. It is not on one's own that one reaches spiritual awakening. It is that, in this case, the Kohen, due to his unique genetic composition, transmits through his holiness, the holiness of God, to awaken that holiness in whoever it is standing before him. To put it in direct context, all of you who are listening, you're not just listening to me. You are receiving the holy oil of God through me, through this Kohen, Baruch Hashem. Not by any special merit of mine, other than I was born into the line of Kohanim. There are others, I'm not the only one. Very few. There are not many Kohanim, but as you might imagine. But there are others. I'm not claiming to be the only one. In this case, you are receiving the holy oil from the head of God, from the first, to ignite the Sephiros in each of you, this moment, right now, because I am a Kohen. Now that may sound pretty arrogant, and so forth, all the things that people who don't want to hear what they don't want to hear think it sounds like, but that is the fact. Now, it's the fact according to the Zohar and tradition. Whether that is actually happening now is another issue. I believe it is. And I hope you believe and experience it as being so. But all this could be bullshit. The thing that makes it believable is that it is so ancient and unbroken a tradition. Physically, literally, the Kohen, remember, only a male by birth into a family of Kohanim, even now is given special honor. The temple no longer exists, so he cannot function in the temple. But he does function. I do, and my fellow Kohanim function. To one, awaken the Spirit of God in others who are listening. Two, to teach. Those functions remain. I might point out to you that my beloved friend and fellow Kohen was also a Kohen and took it very seriously, as we both did with each other. Leonard Cohen, the great balladeer and poet, was a Kohen. Happy indeed are the Kohanim who are crowned with the crowns of the Holy King. Only they are crowned with the crowns of the Holy King. That is to say, they carry the genes, the crowns of the Holy King, and anointed with the oil, because thereby is put in motion the supernal oil, which moistens all the seven, and from which the seven lamps are lit. Therefore, too, the community of Israel is called Bathsheba, literally, daughter of seven. Remember Bathsheba? Her name in Hebrew literally means daughter, Bat, Sheva, seven. Daughter of seven, because she is the consummation of six others. This puts a whole new light on the so-called sin of David and Bathsheba. There was a consummation going on between the two of them that was ordained and existed on a supernatural level and had to exist. Remember, right before this, it's been talking about how evil comes to oftentimes bring us a message and an instruction of good. We see an example being given here of David and Bathsheba. Pardon me. I'm sure you have been hearing all the goings-on behind me. Those of you who have been listening to me for some years know that I have dogs. And they are very rude dogs this morning, especially the littlest one, who is trying to get the oldest one to play. Pardon me. Sophie, that's enough. Stop. Daddy's teaching. That's enough. Good girl. Therefore, too, the community of Israel is called Bathsheba, daughter of the seven. The community of Israel collectively represents Bathsheba of the Bible. We are the ones with whom King David HaMelech, has intercourse. A very sexual reference. Because she is the consummation of 6 others, and David HaMelech is the 7th. We'll stop here. I'll mark my place. Again, apologizing for the racket behind me. Pardon me again. Sophie, stop it. I'm glad you're feeling good this morning, but stop it. That's a good girl. She's so sweet, God. She's only getting close to 2 years old. All right. That concludes the lecture portion of the podcast. Our recording technician is here. Sometimes he has a comment or question. Let me ask, Yishai, do you have a comment or a question? Yeah, very good. Go right ahead. Again, and I say this as often as possible, what I'm offering you right now is not a class. This is not a class. I neither expect nor actually want other students to attend. I want you all to listen to this podcast on our YouTube channel. This is the recording session. It is very and unexpected that there will be students coming to listen. So in case you happen to drop by, don't be shocked that there are only 1 or 2 other people here. You're the third wheel. All right, Yishai, go ahead. Okay, here we go. Yishai. Amazing podcast. The oil transmitted here by a Kohen with the crowns of the Holy One, the genetic transmitter installed at birth only can do the priestly blessing, regardless of random complaints and criticism from feminists, and I understand them. It is a spiritual, biological fact from masculine biology to masculine biology. Beautifully said, Isha. And I do want to point out, I understand that women are offended. Religious Jewish women are not offended. They understand. But the women who are not Jewish or who are very secular, they can be offended by this. And one can understand that. But my only thing to them is try to understand it before you are offended by it. It has nothing to do with and everything to do with biological gender. Listen, it has nothing to do with and everything to do with biological gender. Well, thank you, Yishai. Great comment. That completes our podcast for this morning. And as I do every morning at the end of the podcast, I recite the Kaddish, the prayer for the dead, in honor of our departed beloved friend and fellow Kohen, Leonard Cohen. Yiskadal v'yiskadal shmei ha'abo. Bomo divo achirisei v'yamlich malchusei. B'chayachon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beis Yisrael. Bagalo uvizman kol v'yimu amen. Yehei shmei ha'abo mevarach le'olam u'me'omaya. Yisparach v'yistabach v'yispa'al v'yisamam. V'yisansei v'yisada v'yisalei v'yisalal shmei d'kutsha b'richu. Le'olon o'derechasa v'shirasa d'shvechasa. V'nechkamasa d'ameron bomo v'yimu amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shomaya. V'chayinu aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimu amen. Osei shalom b'mamov. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimu amen. And let everyone please say amen. Well, thank you for listening this morning, and God willing, if He grants me another day of life, we'll have our next podcast tomorrow morning. In the meantime, Yivorechecha Adonai